Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a book that's less of a how-to guide and more of a how-to-survive manual. It's Ben Horowitz's The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And this one is for anyone who knows that leadership, real leadership, isn't about coasting during the good times. It's about what you do when everything just completely falls apart.
Right out of the gate, Horowitz, who's a total Silicon Valley legend, makes one thing crystal clear. This is not some sunny playbook for winning. Nope. This is a collection of scar tissue. It's a brutally honest story from a leader who has stared right into the abyss of failure and had to claw his way out.
So what is the hard thing he's talking about? Well, according to Horowitz, it's not coming up with a brilliant idea. It's not raising a ton of money. The hard thing is the moment that brilliant idea shatters into a million pieces. It's that crushing, lonely, gut punch of a feeling when the plan completely implodes and you, the leader, have absolutely no idea what to do next.
To really get our heads around this, Horowitz starts by painting a picture of two totally different realities. There's the dream you start your company with, and then there's the nightmare you can all too easily wake up in.
Every founder begins with this beautiful vision, right? You're going to build this amazing place to work, hire the absolute best people, create a perfect product, and, make the world a better place. But then, as Horowitz describes it, you wake up one morning and realize that dream is gone. The product has major bugs. The market you were so sure about doesn't actually exist. Your smartest people are walking out the door, and you are about to run out of money.
This nightmare state, it has a name, and it's the absolute core concept of Horowitz's entire philosophy. He calls it, very simply, the struggle.
So, the struggle isn't just a bad quarter or a missed target. It's this constant, suffocating state of pressure. It's that period where you're forced to confront all your worst fears, and the terrifying thought that maybe, just maybe, you're not good enough to pull the company back from the brink. But notice that last line. It's also where greatness comes from.
His co-founder, the legendary Mark Andreessen, just nailed this psychological whiplash perfectly. In the struggle, you're either on top of the world or you're terrified. And yeah, the lack of sleep just cranks the volume up on both.
And here's the kicker. This isn't some private crisis you can work through behind closed doors. Oh no. When a high-profile company starts to fail, it fails in public, right in front of your employees, your investors, and the press.
And what's so powerful about this slide is that these aren't just hypotheticals. These are real headlines and quotes from Horowitz's own time in the struggle with his company LoudCloud. It really drives home just how personal and how public the humiliation can feel.
So, okay, if the struggle is basically inevitable, how in the world do you fight your way through it? Well, Horowitz's answer is blunt. There are no easy fixes, no silver bullets. There are only lead bullets. Hard, painful choices that you have to be willing to make. Tactic number one, and this might be the most critical one of all, is to embrace radical, uncomfortable honesty. You have to stop pretending everything's fine when it's clearly not. This is probably the most famous line from the entire book, something his controller told him. It's just a brilliant metaphor, right? When you're facing a truly awful situation, you have to confront the whole, entire, ugly truth all at once. Trying to sugarcoat it or nibble around the edges just makes the pain last longer and stops you from actually solving the problem.
See, the natural instinct for any leader is to protect the team from bad news. You think you have to project positivity, carry the burden alone, but Horowitz says this is a huge mistake. Your team can handle the truth, and when you're honest, you build trust, which is your single most valuable asset. Plus, you get more brains focused on solving your biggest problem.
And this idea of transparency gets tested like never before when you have to make the toughest decisions of all. For Horowitz, almost nothing is harder or more defining for your culture than how you handle layoffs.
The crucial point here isn't really about the people who are leaving. It's about the message it sends to every single person who stays. How you treat people on their absolute worst day at your company, that's what defines your culture for years to come. If you do it with respect, you can actually build trust. But if you hide or lie, you will shatter your culture, maybe forever. But what I find most fascinating is that Horowitz says the biggest challenge isn't even external. The pure chaos of the struggle starts a war inside your own mind. And to win on the outside, you first have to win that battle on the inside.
He's completely adamant that the single hardest skill for a CEO to master is managing their own psychology. And his techniques aren't complicated. Talk to other people who've been there. Get the swirling chaos out of your head and onto a piece of paper so you can separate what's real from what's just fear. And most importantly, focus on the road right in front of you, not the wall you're afraid of hitting.
Okay, so after all of these tactics, you might be thinking, great, where's the formula? What's the recipe? Well, this brings us to the most important message in the entire book. There isn't one. So what is the one thing you actually need?
Horowitz makes this as clear as day. There is no magic formula, there's no secret playbook, no 10-step guide that's going to get you cleanly through the struggle. So if it's not a recipe, then what is it?
Well, Horowitz says that when he meets founders who made it, who actually navigated all the chaos and all the near-death experiences, and he asks them, how did you do it? He says their answers are almost always exactly the same. That's it. That's the secret. It wasn't that they were smarter or that they had a better idea or that they just got lucky. The great ones were simply the ones who refused to give up when every rational bone in their body was screaming at them to just stop. It's about pure, raw, stubborn persistence.
So what fuels that? Where does that refusal to quit come from? Is it some superhuman ability to not feel fear? Horowitz says absolutely not. And in fact, the final, most powerful lesson in the whole book is about what courage really is.
This quote just nails the ultimate point of the book. Courage is not the absence of fear. Heroes and cowards, they feel the exact same terror, the same panic. The only thing that separates them is what they choose to do in that moment. Courage is just the discipline to act in spite of the fear.
And that, right there, is the hard thing about hard things. There are no easy answers. There are no silver bullets. There is only the struggle, the inevitable fear, and the choice you have to make about what you're going to do next.